I found some wooden finial tops. I always pick these up. I use them for a ton of different DIYs. It's really easy to get the screws out of these wooden finials. You just need a pair of pliers and you either twist it or pull it out. This is IOD's transfer. It's called Lovers of Flowers. And I really like this one because not only does it have all of these beautiful flowers, but it also has lots of typography that you can use with the floral, or you can use it separately. So that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be cutting up one of the little poems in here into two separate pieces to use on these glossy white wooden finials. It is not hard at all to apply a transfer to a rounded surface. I just always start off in the middle and then work my way out. And since this is a glossier surface, the transfer is going to stick very easily on here. I'm really excited about the typography in this transfer. I think it's going to be perfect for these little pieces that just need a little bit of something extra. And look how good this came out. It literally looks like this wording was printed on these wood pieces. Now, I could leave it like this and just have it as little decorative pieces. But a few weekends ago, I thrifted these little wooden, I think they're supposed to hold tea lights, but I'm actually going to turn them upside down and use them as a base. I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue to attach my white finial to the wood base. And again, this looks great. We could stop here, but I love to add florals to the top of these finials. This is the late bloomers bush. I love the vintage look of these. It's going to look great with the white and the wood. So I'm just going to cut off a little sprig of this. Then I'm going to take my drill and drill a hole into the top of my finial, and with a little hot glue, I am going to attach this floral into my finial. I just have always, and I'm sure will always, love the combination of white and wood, and the little typography on here is just that extra little touch. And of course, I love these florals. They look great just as decorative pieces, or you could use them as bookends. In this video, I'm going to be using some of Iron Orchid Designs' new spring releases for 2024. They have 15 new designs, lots of stamps, the molds that you could use with clay or resin, the transfers that are so much fun, and their brand new invention, the paint inlays. This is a potted plant that is available on my website, and I love the pot that it's in, but I'm thinking with these IOD products, we can embellish it a little bit more. This is a conservatory labels mold, and it pairs perfectly with the apothecary labels stamp. You get 4 stamps, 2 font stamps, and these cute little label stamps. I kind of forgot about these, so I think we might add in a project so I can use these. I'm going to take my IOD air dry clay and push it into the mold. I just counted, and this mold comes with 9 different labels. I feel like I'm going to be using this one so much. So in the molds, you can use clay like I'm using. You can also use resin, or you can even use food products if you, I don't know, bake cakes or whatever. I'm not a baker, so I don't know what you would use it for, but I know it can be used for that. And with the micro rims, it's really easy to take off any extra clay, and then your clay will pop right out of the mold. Now you can let your clay dry and stamp after, or while your clay is still wet, you can go ahead and use the smaller apothecary labels and do an impression. I wasn't sure what I wanted this pot to say, so I figured the Roman numerals were a good choice. So I put one on a thin mount, and I'm just going to lightly push it into the clay, and it is going to leave an impression. You're definitely also going to want a thin mount with your stamps. It just makes it so much easier when you are stamping to have these. I recommend getting 2 sizes, one to keep big and one to cut up into all kinds of different sizes so you can use them for lots of different projects. As you saw just in this project, I used several different sizes. Now I kind of want the label to go with the aged look of the pot. So I'm taking my Fusion Antiquing Glaze, and I'm going to put 1 coat of Antiquing Glaze on my clay, and then I'm going to take a dry paper towel and just kind of wipe it and dab it a little bit, and then you'll be able to see all the beautiful details of this label. And then I turned it over and added a little bit of Gorilla Glue to the back. I am going to put it on my pot while the clay is still wet. That way it will dry to the curvature of this pot. And I am in love with the way this came out. I feel like I'm going to be using this conservatory label mold a lot just to add embellishments to my pieces. All right, I went grab another pot out of the shipping room because I am just dying to try one of the little apothecary label stamps. I'm going to be using the IOD white ink. Now, when you're stamping a curved surface, the trick is just to keep one hand still while you move the other one. If you move both hands at the same time, that's when you're going to have smudging. Okay, that came out great. It looks good, but I do want to add a word in here because they're, made to work together. So I'm just going to put plant on here. So what I like to do is I like to spell it out. I cannot spell backwards. And so I spell it out on a surface and then I use my thin mount, pick it up, and I'm going to put some more white ink on here and just place it right in the center of this label. And that looks really good. I feel like I did a great job stamping this. And what I love is that you can take pieces and you can totally transform them with paint. But then you can take these IOD products and just take your pieces to the next level. I think that I'm going to be using this stamp and this mold a lot. And I kind of feel like y'all need it in y'all DIY stash as well. Look what I just spotted. One of those ice cream canisters. I like the size of it and we should definitely take this home and DIY it. To transform this piece, I want to use IOD's paint inlay. I really love this pattern. And with the paint inlays, you want to use a chalk paint. So I think Dixie Belle in the color Tea Rose is going to look perfect with this pattern. I really like this inlay because it has 4 different patterns and each pattern has 2 full pages, and you can use paint inlays up to 3 or 4 times. So you get lots of use out of each paint inlay. The first step is to put a layer of chalk paint. This is just going to be my base coat, so I'm just going to quickly paint it on here. And I did have another one of these ice cream containers, so I decided I really wanted to try this other pattern that came in this inlay that is absolutely beautiful, and I am using Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Fluff for this one. It's a very pretty warm white that I think is going to pair really nicely with the paint inlay pattern. I actually want to use the same piece of inlay 3 times on the container. So I'm going to cut it to the size that I need where I can apply it 3 different times. My idea is to have it look more distressed as it goes up. So the bottom layer will be the first use, and then the second use in the middle, then the third use at the top, so that way as it goes up the container it will get more and more distressed. So my base layer has dried. The next step is to put a generous coat of chalk paint just in the place that I am going to be applying the paint inlay. So not the whole piece, just where I'm going to be putting that first layer. And just to make sure everything is wet, I like to take my Fusion Mister and mist the piece as well. A Fusion Mister is definitely a must with the paint inlay. Then you want to take your inlay, make sure you are applying it paint side down. So the brightest side is the side that goes into your chalk paint. Then you're going to take your Fusion Mister again and you're going to mist the entire paint inlay. And then you just kind of want to lightly pat your paint inlay, make sure it is really in the paint. And if I get little wrinkles and stuff like that, I don't worry about it. It just adds to the effect of the paint inlay. I think the best way to do a paint inlay is go in knowing that you're going to have that old distressed look. If you're going for perfection, then it might be a little bit more stressful. After you applied and misted the paint inlay, you want to let it dry. So at this point, I've let it dry and we're about to see the magic happen. So again, you want that Fusion Mister. It's going to be key for all of this. And I'm going to mist the paint inlay and wet it once again. It needs to be wet so that you can then remove it from the piece. It is so fun to watch. So the inlay is paint and it embeds itself into the chalk paint. It is just such a fun process, and this pattern is a little bit brighter, so it's a little bit easier to see what is happening here, but check that out. Isn't that amazing? Now remember, you can use your inlays up to 3 times. So don't crumple it up after. We're going to use it again. I'm not waiting for it to dry. I am using it wet. I'm going to add another layer of chalk paint where I'm going to put the 3rd inlay, and then I'm going to apply it. If you're only putting the inlay 1 time, this is a much quicker process, but I do want that effect of where it kind of fades and gets more distressed as it goes up the container. So as I talk, I'm just going to quickly show y'all the process because it's repeating the same steps over and over again. You want to put your fresh coat of chalk paint, mist it a little bit, put your inlay down, mist it, then pat it, then let it dry. Once it's dry, you're going to mist it again, and then you're going to do the fun part where we actually pull the paint inlay up, and then I'm going to repeat the steps once again for the top part where I'm going to get that distress look. Honestly, I like the 2nd and 3rd application better just because I like that subtle vintage distress look. Now these patterns in this paint inlay are a repeating pattern. So I could have lined everything up if I wanted to, but I just didn't worry about it. I just cut it to the size that I needed. But to make some of these lines a little bit more subtle, I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper and a wet paper towel just to kind of soften the lines. Remember that you can distress the paint inlays. It is paint that you can work with, and I'm also taking a little bit of the Dixie Belle chalk paint and kind of stippling it on there, and I was able to really soften up these lines, and it came out absolutely perfect. To seal up these pieces, I'm going to use Dixie Belle's Easy Peasy Spray Wax. I definitely recommend a spray sealer for the paint inlays because if you use a water-based sealer and a brush, it could reactivate and smear your paint inlays. Remember, they are paint that can be reactivated. I only have one word to describe these: obsessed. I love how they came out, and now I have these beautiful, unique, kind of French looking flower canisters. So y'all let me know what y'all think, and let me know if you have the confidence now to try the IOD paint inlays. All right, guys, that is it for today's projects. Leave a comment below and let me know what was your favorite. My personal favorite was the paint inlays. I am obsessed with how that piece came out. You just cannot get that look with any other product on the market, and it just goes with that distressed vintage style that I love. And if you are intimidated by the paint inlays, I highly suggest just trying it. It is not hard at all to use. There's a few more steps involved, but I just work on other projects while I'm waiting for the inlays to dry. So y'all definitely should check it out. The paint inlays in this release are amazing. Actually, let me show y'all the other ones right now, because I told y'all there was 15 new designs in this release and I only used a few of them. You'll definitely be seeing a lot more on my future videos. Okay, this is the one we use. Love it. You have all of these different patterns. And then we have the Petite Fleur in pink and the Petite Fleur in red. So what it is it's the same design on each, except on one the flowers are pink and on the other the flowers are red, and you get 4 pages. And like I told y'all, you can use this 3 or 4 times. It'll get more distressed every time that you use it. And I feel like there are endless options because you can use all of these pieces together. You can use them separately. Here they have them used on furniture. I personally would probably be using a ton of them on small. So I definitely love the new paint inlays. Then we have 4 new stamps. I showed y'all the apothecary labels. These are like just something you are going to need in your DIY stash. The font, the IOD font stamps are some of my favorites. I use the typesetting one all the time. Then they came out with the letterpress one. I love that. And this one is just a step smaller. It's going to be perfect for books, and I'm just in love with these label stamps. I feel like I'm going to use them all of the time. And then the normal no more, I don't know, y'all. Whatever these are, I just love this. So apothecary labels, you need this in your DIY stash. And then this one right here is great, y'all. It's 2 pages. Actually, the rest of the stamps I'm going to show y'all is going to come with 2 pages. And look at these bird cages. Look at these cloches. We have eggs. We have books. We have florals. We have a bird's nest. They've never had a bird's nest before. Butterflies, more eggs. This is just such a great one. I'm going to definitely be using that one a lot in the future. And then you have this one is called Mercantile. Again, 2 pages. And you have a rooster, you have a cow, you have these beautiful pieces right here. It says dries good. And y'all, there is a grain sack stamp. That is so good. And then you have this right here as well. And then quality grains. This is just like a good old farmhouse stamp. And then the last stamp is called Veranda. And I love it because you have these oval frame stamps. You have these beautiful flowers, and then you also have some pattern designs right here, and then a smaller oval stamp. So I feel like this is going to be great for so many different things. There are 3 transfers. This one is the smaller transfer. It's the Lovers of Flowers. I showed y'all this one in the video. And then we got Collage de Fleurs. And this one is a larger transfer, and it has lots and lots of florals. I love the white roses. There's not a lot of IOD transfers with white roses, so I really like that. And again, you can use this all together on furniture, or you can use the different pieces on smalls. This one's so vintage and pretty, and it has some built-in crackle and distressing. I love it. It's called Jolie the Roses. And can you see the vintage look of it? And it has some birds. Let me get up close so y'all can see. So it has some birds in there, and it has some crackle. Can y'all see that? This one's so pretty, and it got a little typography right here. I love it. And again, all of these you can use on a big piece of furniture, or you can break it up and use it on smalls as well. And then we have 5 molds in this release. The conservatory labels, which I use in this video, I feel like this is going to be a go-to for me. I'm going to use that one all the time. I just know it. The Verdes, which is some beautiful leafy stuff right here. And they also have some branches. And I've seen some of the other IOD stockists turn this into a tree where you have the branch and then it kind of looks like an olive tree. So cute. I want to do that. This one is called Faux Pas. And it also has some branches right here, and then also some bamboo, and then you have all the connecting pieces. So if you wanted to put it, you know, around a frame, on a furniture, you have all of the pieces you need to do that. This one is specimens, and it has all of the bugs. I've definitely been seeing some stockists do some amazing things with this. So you can always look up these names on Pinterest, like put in IOD specimens, and it'll bring up tons of different ideas if you need some inspiration. And this one is fun. It is called Invitation Only, and it kind of reminds me of IOD's Antiquity stamp, where they had some fun stuff like this. And that is it. That is all of IOD's new release. And of course, you can find all of these, all the paint products and new IODs on my website, juliesdesignsandsigns.com. So don't forget to leave me a comment. Let me know what was your favorite project in today's video, and leave me a comment and let me know what is your favorite new design from IOD, and what is your favorite product to use. Is it the paint inlays? Is it the transfers? Is it the molds? Is it the stamps? Let me know in the comments. I really would like to hear y'all opinions. So once again, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see y'all next week for another DIY video. Bye guys.